Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. And on this video there is lots to negotiate about. I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news, keep you up to date of what players are linked with Manchester United. So I am going to be talking with you a bit more about Paul Pogba, because a bit more additional information is updated about him. Also going to be giving you the latest news on Harry Kane. Do you think Manchester United should spend £200 million on Harry Kane? And also going to be talking with you a bit more about Jude Bellingham from Birmingham, because I haven't spoken about Jude Bellingham, for quite some time. But just before I delve into them topics, I just want to confirm with you guys, that the Premier League have a meeting tomorrow to establish plans for the remainder of the season. Now, I do believe, that the Premier League will resume on the 6th of June, which is around 6 or 7 weeks away. And reportedly, the Premier League, want the season to come to a conclusion on the 30th of June. But obviously, more will be negotiated tomorrow when they do have that meeting. So if the season was to be finished on the 30th of June, then I presume they'd have to play like maybe 3 or 4 games a week. There's also been a rumour saying that there could be actually 22 teams, I think, like in the Premier League next season. And also the teams that are in the relegation zone won't be relegated, so that's also an option. I just also want to confirm as well that Liverpool are going to change their sponsor. Well, I think Watford are going to change their sponsor, and so too are Newcastle. But like I did say anyway, due to this coronavirus pandemic, obviously a lot of teams are under financial pressure across the world. And obviously the football season has been suspended since the 9th of March, so it has been suspended now for over a month. And like I said, it is suspended until April the 30th, the earliest. But I don't think, it affects Liverpool's title ambitions. I think, whether the season resumes or whether the season is going to resume, but even if it didn't, I still think, Liverpool would get the Premier League title. There was reports the other week saying that, Liverpool could be denied the title. There was reports actually, saying that as it stands at the moment, Liverpool only need 2 wins from, to clinch their first ever Premier League title and to end their 30-year drought, because, they are sitting 25 points clear of Manchester City. Also, too, there's obviously players' contracts as well that are due to expire on the 30th of June. So obviously, they'll have to sort that out and that. So there is quite a lot to sort out and that. But the thing is, if the season was to end on the 30th of June, how would they play the FA Cup games? How would they play the Champions League games? But, they will sort it out when they do have that meeting tomorrow. So, yeah, so that's the latest news on that. So now we will delve into the transfer news. So I am going to start with Paul Pogba. Now, I've just been reading The Sun, and they reportedly said that back in 2016, Paul Pogba had agreed to join Real Madrid. The main explanation, why he rejected a move to Real Madrid is because, we persuaded him to join we persuaded him to join Manchester United. I think on social media. So this is the main explanation, why his preference was Manchester United over Real Madrid back in 2016. And of course, we paid £89 million for him. Now, there's still a slight possibility. What? No. No. There's still a slight possibility chance, that Pogba, could remain at the football club. Obviously, as it stands at the moment, Pogba's got 2 years left on his contract. 1 year, with an option of a further year. Whether Man United trigger that 1 year extension or not, I do not know. But I was reading reports about Paul Pogba today, and actually, said that, some of our fans are still convinced, that he could sign a new contract at the football club. Now, obviously, around 3 weeks ago now, this was obviously, before all the football got suspended, and I think Solskjaer mentioned it in his press conference, building up to our game against Lask. He actually, he said then that Paul Pogba will remain at Manchester United next season. So in a way, he was reiterating, what Paul Pogba had said before that, because Paul Pogba said himself he was interested in staying at the club, and he was interested in extending his contract at Manchester United. And he did reveal one of the main explanations why he wants to stay He's obviously, because he believes he can form a good partnership with Bruno Fernandes. And to be fair, I think Pogba, would go really, really well alongside Bruno Fernandes in our midfield, because Pogba is aware, of how much of a fantastic start that Bruno Fernandes has had to his Manchester United career. But, there is still uncertainty over Paul Pogba's future. Now, obviously, Real Madrid, have been relentlessly linked with Paul Pogba. Revert back to last summer, Real Madrid were relentlessly linked with him, and his actual preference was to make a move to Real Madrid last summer. But the main explanation why his move to Real Madrid didn't materialise was obviously, reflecting on the substantial amount we put on him, because we said we wanted 180 million for Paul Pogba. So, we was basically demanding just over double than what we paid for him from Juventus, and Real Madrid were reluctant to meet our asking price. So, obviously, Paul Pogba remained at Manchester United. But he did say last summer, Pogba, that he wanted to leave the football club and he was seeking for a new challenge. And he even publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the club. So, he's got the same perception now as what he had last summer, because I still believe Pogba wants to leave Manchester United. Now, like I said, Real Madrid, they recruited a good 5 or 6 players in last summer, but they're still looking to do more investment. Last summer Real Madrid got Ferland Mendy in, they got Rodrigo in, they got Luka Jovic in, they got Eden Hazard in, they got Eden Militao in, so they did recruit quite a few players in. They're also looking to offload players in Madrid. They're looking to offload James Rodriguez, Gareth Bale. Also, too, looking to get rid of Dani Ceballos on a permanent transfer. But Paul Pogba, I think, is their number one priority target. And taking into account, Pogba was talking a lot about Real Madrid last year, of his dreams to play for them. Also, too, he's got a good relationship with Zinedine Zidane. Mini Raiola, his agent, he's got good relations with Real Madrid. And Mini Raiola, at least in the last couple of years, has been working on getting his client a transfer away from Manchester United, completing in that. But I think if he leaves Manchester United, Pogba, in the summer transfer window, I think he'll make a return back to Juventus, because he did recently say Juventus does remain his first choice. And like I mentioned, Paul Pogba enjoyed 4 good years in Turin with Juventus. But, since he rejoined the club back in 2016, the vast majority of his performances at Man United have been totally comparison to his ones in Turin and that. Obviously, like I mentioned, there has been swap deals on the agenda. Obviously, the other week there was talks of Aaron Ramsey coming to Man United as part of a swap deal of Pogba making a return to Juventus. There's been talks of obviously, Matthijs de Ligt coming to Manchester United as part of a swap deal of Pogba going back to Juventus. So swap deals have been on the agenda, and swap deals are very, very rare. They're very, very rare in the modern game, are swap deals. But we basically, quoted out how much we want for Paul Pogba when the transfer window reopens. And I think, we've said we want at least £100 million for him. And it is very imperative that we get more money, than what we actually paid for the player. So if he leaves, he'll go to Real Madrid or he will go to Juventus. PSG and Barcelona have also been in for him in the past. But Ed Woodward's had quite a few negotiations with Pogba, with Mini Raiola, his agent, to try and resolve his future. And obviously, to stop Mini Raiola making public attacks against the club, because since the turn of the year, he's made a number of public attacks against the football club. Now, don't forget, Fabrizio Romano broke out the news the other week. He tends to be close to Man United, and he's a very reliable Italian journalist, and he said that Pogba's got no intentions of buying out the remainder of his Manchester United contract, because there was reports saying this was stemming from the Sun, but the Sun aren't reliable. It's not a reliable source, but it actually said that Pogba was considering taking a fee for transfer regulation to buy out the remainder of his contract for around £50 million. But I don't think that is going to happen. I don't think that is going to happen, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, we do want at least £100 million for Paul Pogba. Now, like I updated you recently, Paul Pogba had come out and he'd made an admission. And the admission he did make, that, he said he was an Arsenal fan when he was a young child. And the main explanations why he was an Arsenal fan is because, he loved Thierry Henry, like he revealed. And also he said, his brother was an Arsenal fan, but his other brother was a Manchester United fan. And also, it was due to the French players. This is why he supported Arsenal as a youngster. Obviously, Paul Pogba, a couple of days ago, did respond to the criticism, that he received from Graham Souness, because Graham Souness has been criticising Paul Pogba persistently, and Paul Pogba did ignore it for a while. But, Paul Pogba had responded and basically said, he still doesn't recognise Graham Souness. He doesn't know who Graham Souness is, because Graham Souness was like saying that Pogba doesn't want to be at Manchester United. He was also like, I think he also criticised him when he attended his brother's wedding back in March, which was last month. He also, was talking about him being a top player and his athleticism and his technique, etc., etc. And he also told Paul Pogba to put his medals on the table. So he doesn't, believe Paul Pogba wasn't. He believes Pogba doesn't want to be at Man United. He was also talking about his lengthy absentee, because obviously, Paul Pogba has been out with injury for quite some time. Obviously, when the football season does resume, obviously he'll be back in action, and Paul Pogba says, he will do better, when he comes back. But he's only played 8 times this season, so his appearances have been limited due to his injuries as Paul Pogba's. But yeah, Graham Souness, I've said quite a few stuff regarding Paul Pogba. He said by the way, Pogba, said quite a few. He's give an interview to the United podcast, and he has said quite a few things. He's obviously, spoken about the issues he's had with injuries this season. Also, like I mentioned, he told the United podcast, what he reckons to Graham Souness. Obviously, criticising him, like I mentioned. Obviously, he revealed that his mother always told him that he would return to Manchester United, because obviously, we let him go on a free transfer to Juventus back in 2012. Because don't forget, we had Paul Pogba under Alex Ferguson, but the main explanation why we let him go was obviously, due to limited appearances. Paul Pogba wasn't getting enough opportunities, but I do believe, Manchester United will get rid of Paul Pogba. So that is the latest news on him. But yeah, so it said back in 2016 he'd agreed to join Real Madrid, but obviously, we persuaded him to join Man United instead. Obviously, what we said on social media. So that is the news on Paul Pogba. But us getting rid of him, we'll get quite a bit of money for his departure. And plus, it'll free up our wage bill completely, because Pogba is on around 300 grand a week at the football club. But I'd be very, very surprised if he was still at Manchester United going on into next season. Maybe, Paul Pogba, if he was to stay, then maybe Man United wouldn't consider getting like a holding midfielder in. But obviously, if he was to leave, then obviously, we've got to get an adequate replacement for the player. So yeah, so that's the news on Paul Pogba. Let's now delve into the news on Harry Kane. Now, like I said to you at the beginning of the video, should Manchester United spend £200 million on Harry Kane? Now, I have been keeping up to date of what's been going on with Harry Kane on a regular basis. Now, Lucas Moura, who of course plays for Tottenham himself, he says if Tottenham let Harry Kane go, then obviously, Tottenham are going to find it hard to get an adequate replacement for him. Obviously, you've had quite a few pundits in that. You've had the likes of Harry Redknapp saying, that he'd be a great addition to the Manchester United squad, but he feels as though he should remain loyal to Tottenham. You had Gary Neville saying, that Harry Kane would be a good signing for Man United. Roy Keane urged us to sign Harry Kane earlier on in the season after the 1-1 draw with Liverpool. And I think he'd be a great addition to the squad, but I'm just very, very sceptical that Manchester United will pay up to £200 million for Harry Kane, because that £200 million figure, if we was to pay it, that would make him most expensive player in the world alongside Neymar, because Neymar is the most expensive player in the world at the moment, because PSG paid £200 million for him from Barcelona. But yeah, Tottenham did confirm, they are willing to let Harry Kane go. Daniel Levy has agreed that Tottenham will let him go, providing their £200 million asking price is met. So basically, in a way, Tottenham have offered Harry Kane to Manchester United. Now, obviously, Tottenham are looking to ease their financial worries, because obviously, Tottenham are still paying for their £1 billion stadium. I think they're, like I said before, they owe around 630 odd million on the stadium loan, and I think around 83 million in transfer fees. So Tottenham will go, look, he's an imperative player, but if we can get £200 million for him, we've generated so much money for his departure, and then with that £200 million, we could go get maybe 2, 3, maybe even 4 players. But, Kane may not even leave. He may stay at Tottenham for at least another year. But as you all know, Harry Kane had made an admission last month, and that had obviously, fueled a lot of speculation. Harry Kane did say he could decide to leave Tottenham if they failed to match his ambition. Now, obviously, Kane has revealed his ambition, and his ambition is to win silverware. And he hasn't experienced any of this, during his time with Tottenham, and he's been at Tottenham for several years. He was in their youth academy for a good 4 to 5 years. He's been in Tottenham's senior squad since 2011, and he's Tottenham's third highest goal scorer in their history, because Harry Kane has 181 goals in all competitions and around 136 goals in the Premier League in just under 200 Premier League appearances. And obviously, Tottenham can't win anything in terms of silverware this season. They're not in the Champions League. Obviously, they're not in the FA Cup. Harry Kane, is definitely unhappy at Tottenham. But, I think we've been in for Harry Kane at least in the last 5 years or so. But I'm very sceptical that Manchester United will get him. We're looking for an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku, haven't we? We're looking for a replacement for Lukaku. We're looking to get a striker in. We're also looking for a replacement for Ander Herrera, because we didn't replace Lukaku and Ander Herrera, of course, when they left the football club last summer. But obviously, Real Madrid have also been in for Harry Kane, so let's just put that into the equation. Like I said, Real Madrid have done business with Tottenham before. Obviously, Real Madrid, got Gareth Bale off them for £85 million. They also got Luka Modric off them. So Real Madrid have done business with Tottenham in the past. I think there's more chance being going to Real Madrid than there is Manchester United. It said that Juventus and also to Manchester City have expressed their interest in Kane. So there's been a few clubs that have been monitoring his situation. Don't forget, we've done business with Tottenham before. Don't forget, we got Dimitar Berbatov off them. We also got, Michael Carrick off them. And like I said to you before, Daniel Levy is a very, very hard negotiator when it comes to, recruiting any players from Tottenham. But he is a very, very good businessman. I don't know if Ed Woodward's had any negotiations with Daniel Levy. I'm not too sure. But I think it did say he was going to have negotiations if he already hasn't had negotiations. Now, of course, Harry Kane is 26 years of age, so he's still very, very young, and he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. So he's in his prime, basically, at the age of 26. Now, an element of concern about Harry Kane, that he is injury prone. He's been out with a hamstring injury since New Year's Day, Harry Kane. Obviously, back in the summer of 2018, he signed a 6-year contract with Tottenham worth £200,000 a week. And as it stands at the moment, he's got 4 years remaining on his current contract with Tottenham. Obviously, he's been loaned out to quite a few clubs. Like I mentioned, Kane had a loan spell with Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester. But I think he'd be a great addition to the squad if he was to come in. But I just think £200 million is far too much money for one player. Like I've said to you before, there's been other strikers on our agenda, and they still are on our agenda, should I say, and they are much cheaper solutions than Kane. You've got Timo Werner, that's available for around £50 million, so he'd cost 4 times less than Kane. You've got Erling Haaland, that's a cheaper solution than Kane. Even Moussa Dembele, he's a cheaper solution than Kane. Obviously, we are looking to get Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer. Obviously, Odion Ighalo did recently say, by the way, that he has not yet received an offer to extend his stay at Manchester United. Now, recent reports did say that Odion Ighalo is going to have to take a wage cut of around £200,000 a week if he is to remain at the football club. It probably is likely that we'll extend Odion Ighalo's loan anyway until the 30th of June. Because due to the coronavirus pandemic, because Odion Ighalo's loan spell at the club ends on the 31st of May. That's when his loan spell ends at the club. But we paid about 3 or 4 million to get him on loan, and as it stands at the moment, I think we're paying like a third of his wages. Again, it's a cheap solution, no. It got revealed the other week how much it'll cost us to get Ighalo permanently. It will cost us around £15 million. He's a highly experienced centre-forward, and he's an option of a different type of centre-forward. And like I mentioned, I think he's a very, very good cover-up to Marcus Rashford. But with our links to the likes of Haaland and Kane and all of that, is this delaying us getting Odion Ighalo on a permanent transfer. But Solskjaer did recently make the admission saying, you know, that we could decide to get Odion Ighalo, you know, permanently, you know, because he's enjoyed a good start to his Man United career. 4 goals in 3 starts for the football club. So yeah, so do you think Man United should spend £200 million on Harry Kane? But the good thing about Harry Kane is, you know, his hold-up play is good, he's well proven in that in the Premier League, and he is a prolific goal scorer. He hasn't won out in terms of silverware at Tottenham, but he's won individual awards. Didn't he win the Golden Boot twice, if I'm right? Harry Kane. So yeah, so that's the news on that. Now I want to give you the news on Jude Bellingham. I have, like I said, I haven't spoken to you guys about Jude Bellingham, at least for the last week or two. But more additional information is updated about him. So according to recent reports, we are now leading the race for Jude Bellingham. I think he's expected to cost us in the £30 million range. Actually, you know, the Sun said that Jude Bellingham is rated at around £50 million. Now, obviously, you know, quite a few clubs have expressed their interest in Jude Bellingham. You know, like I mentioned, Borussia Dortmund have been in for him. There was narratives coming out of the mainstream media the other week saying that Liverpool had inquired about his availability. Chelsea have also been in for him. I'd probably, you know, take Jude Bellingham at Manchester United if I'm going to be quite honest with you. My element of concern is that obviously hasn't played in the Premier League as yet. He's inexperienced because he's only at the age of 16. And this is his first season in the senior squad with Birmingham. It's his first season in the senior squad. First season in the senior squad with Birmingham. But obviously, you know, he became the youngest player to represent Birmingham because he made his senior debut at the age of 16 years and 38 days. But he's played persistently this season. I think he's played around 30 odd games in the Championship. So Bellingham has been a revelation. So I've got to give him a lot of credit. I think he's expected to sign his professional contract this summer when Jude Bellingham does turn the age of 17. Bellingham, I think, has been a Birmingham player since the age of 8. And now he's 16, like I mentioned. You know, I think he's predominantly number 10, by the way, is Jude Bellingham. But some players that come from the Championship to the Premier League, tend to do very, very well. Don't forget, the other month, Jude Bellingham had visited our Carrington training ground to hold talks with Sir Alex Ferguson, and also to Ed Woodward had had negotiations with his parents, and Jude Bellingham had give his verdict on his visit to the Carrington training ground. And I think, you know, he said it was very, very good. Don't forget, you know, we got a player from the Championship last summer, and that was Daniel James from Swansea. You know, we paid £15 million for him with add-ons included, which isn't up to about 17 or 18 million. But Daniel James has been a revelation. Like I said, he enjoyed a fantastic start to his Manchester United career. He scored against Lask, did Daniel James, you know, to end his goal drought, because that was his first goal against Lask since, you know, the 31st of August, yeah. Daniel James can play on the left and he can also play on the right. But obviously, you know, you see the best of Daniel James on the left-hand side. But yeah, he's done really, really well. So do you think it'd be beneficial if Manchester United did sign Jude Bellingham? So yeah. So that's basically, you know, the latest on, you know, the transfers. Obviously, you know, earlier on today, I give you the news on Jack Grealish. Obviously, you know, we are finalising now a deal for Jack Grealish in that, because I think, you know, Jack Grealish has revealed that, you know, he wants to come to Old Trafford. He's expected to cost us around 60 million, maybe 70 million pound at the most. But yeah, he does want to come to Manchester United, does Jack Grealish, because he's our number one priority target for the summer transfer window. But definitely, you know, is expected to leave Aston Villa, and Jack Grealish is our preference over James Maddison. But, you know, James Maddison is still on our agenda. But, you know, there's a couple of main explanations, you know, why Jack Grealish is our preference over James Maddison, and I've already gone through with you on that. And I've been keeping you up to date, haven't I, of what's been going on with Jadon Sancho. Man United failing to qualify for the Champions League. That could make us miss out on Jadon Sancho, don't forget. But as you all know, there's like 14 players on our agenda in total. You know, obviously, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has already revealed his plans for when the transfer market does reopen. Don't forget, you know, Solskjaer has got the backing of Ed Woodward. He's also got the backing of the Glazers. But he has revealed his plans for when the transfer market does reopen. Solskjaer, wants to make around 4 signings when the transfer market does reopen, because Solskjaer believes that, we need around 4 signings to become title contenders next season. As you all know, Solskjaer a while back, revealed his transfer strategy, and his transfer strategy is to continue the policy of recruiting young players in, like he did do last summer. So, you've got to, credit him for that. And there's actually, quite a lot of British players on our agenda. But I like what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said recently, because he did say, we will exploit the transfer market, when it does reopen. Because obviously, teams are going to be forced into selling some of their players, because a lot of teams are under financial pressure across the world. So Solskjaer, does believe, that we'll get the right calibre players to Manchester United when the transfer window does reopen. And he's already identified the areas, where he wants Man United to strengthen up. Obviously, he wants to recommend a centre-half in. Well, that's not the main priority area, but I still think he's keen on getting a centre-half. I'm very, very sceptical that Man United will get a centre-half in the summer transfer window, because we've got a lot of centre-halves in the team, like I mentioned. We've got Harry Maguire, and we've also got Victor Lindelof, who are first-choice centre-halves. Obviously, we've got Bain, Tuanzebe, that are our backups. What are you doing?
You're doing a review?
Yeah, why?
How can you do a review, Charlie? Bloody season's been suspended.
I'm just talking that.
Oh.
Why?
You do know, clapping.
Yeah, I heard them, yeah.
I don't know where that doctor is. I think he's at that number 14. Might be a baby. You are?
You what?
That doctor there over there. It might be that little baby there's at number 14.
What?
That's where they are, number 14. See, Michael knows it.
Yeah. What's he doing?
Doctor, I don't know, something's happened to someone at number 14. It might be a baby they've got. But he's at that house, ain't it? At Michael and Jill's, is at number 14.
No, what's happened?
That's a doctor, that's a doctor's care. It says doctor on it.
Oh. Sorry about that, I was just talking, but like I was saying, yeah, so it's good that he's making plans, for the transfer market. And Solskjaer so far has enjoyed 3 transfer windows at Manchester United, like I mentioned, and he's spent £220 million on 5 players. So I've got to credit, Solskjaer, for the players that he has recommended in so far. But like I mentioned before, I think Solskjaer, does deserve at least 2 more transfer windows at the football club, because take into account, he is still in the process of rebuilding this Manchester United team. Because like I said before, Solskjaer's inheriting the vast majority of Jose Mourinho's players, because the vast majority of these players are Jose Mourinho's. Still a couple of players here from the Van Gaal era he's inheriting. There's only 2 players here now from the Alex Ferguson era, I think, and that's Phil Jones and David De Gea. But yeah, so he's inheriting them, so put that into the equation. And, I'm still very sceptical, that Solskjaer is the long-term solution for Manchester United. But he does deserve another season at the club. Solskjaer, so far has been here nearly 16 months, or is it 16 months? So he has been at the football club over a year. He has been at the football club over a year. But Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson era. He's our 4th permanent manager. Obviously, since the Ferguson era, we've sacked 3 managers, like I mentioned. Obviously, we sacked David Moyes after he enjoyed 8 or 9 months at the club. We sacked Louis van Gaal after he enjoyed 2 years at the club. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after he enjoyed 2.5 years at Manchester United. But like I mentioned, we have been playing catch-up for the last 6 or 7 years. And, we spent nearly in the £1 billion range on recruiting new players in the last 6 or 7 years. And we've recruited over 30-odd players in since the Alex Ferguson era. So let's just put that into the equation. But, yeah, Solskjaer does deserve at least another season, like I mentioned. And like I said, I've also got to credit Solskjaer, because, he has got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he's come in. We've seen a total of 9 players leave, since he got recommended into the football club. I think also too, Solskjaer's promoted the youth very, very well. So that's also positive, because the young players have been given their opportunities this season. Like Mason Greenwood, Williams, they've been given their opportunities. James Garner, I expect him to get more opportunities next season. I expect Gomez to get more opportunities next season. That's if he is to sign a new contract with the club. Chong, he should get more opportunities next season. So there is a lot of young players in the squad that are developing and trying to improve, which is obviously positive as well. We can get some silverware on the board because we can win the Europa League. We're into last 8. We can win the FA Cup. We are into the quarterfinals because we haven't won all yet in terms of silverware under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've only won 3 trophies since Ferguson retired back in 2013, and that was the FA Cup under the Louis van Gaal era, and the Europa League and the League Cup under the Jose Mourinho era. So yeah. But we have got quite a few ambitions. But I'm very, very convinced that we can get qualification for the Champions League next season. But like I mentioned, we've enjoyed our worst start ever to a Premier League season. We've enjoyed our worst start to a Premier League season for 30 years. Things have changed under the Solskjaer era, and that, for the vast majority of this season, we've been really thriving on the counter-attack. I think Solskjaer's approach to the big games has been very, very good. Showed a lot of tactical flexibility. I think we've taken 17 points against the big 6 sides this season, which is good. But Solskjaer hasn't been so good against lower opposition, so that is an element of concern. In the vast majority of the games this season, Solskjaer hasn't really had a plan A and he hasn't really had a plan B. But there you go. But like I said, he had 11 years he enjoyed 11 years as a player at Man United, so he was a very, very good player for the football club. And Ferguson, isn't doubting Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Like I mentioned, I give you the news, didn't I, early on this morning, and it's the best piece of news I've heard since Alex Ferguson's retirement, and that obviously is Ed Woodward is no longer involved in our recruitment process, which is obviously very, very good news. Obviously, Manchester United have been very, very critical of Ed Woodward, especially throughout the course of this season. Ed Woodward has been here since 2012. And he's got no intentions of appointing a director of footballing. Obviously, because Ferguson is behind our thinking. That's why, we're not, considering getting a director of footballing. But last summer, there was quite a few former Manchester United players linked with that director's role. But there hasn't only been problems with Ed Woodward, as there. We've had a lot of doubts about the club's ownership, and that's the Glazers. And the Glazers have been here since, 2005. So they've been here a good, 15, 16 years now. I think Glazers have taken over £1 billion out of the football club. So let's just put that into the equation. But we have been playing catch-up for the last 6 or 7 years. I said to you earlier, didn't I, can we win our 21st title under Solskjaer? Can we, dominate football again, like we did under the Ferguson era? We shall see. And I think around 5 or 6 players are expected to leave Manchester United in the summer. So anyway, guys, drop me comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.